What is an IEP? After this video, you are going to know a lot more about the topics of mold inspections and other indoor environmental health assessments for the home, and making sure that you're going to be saving money and stress in the process, because the more you know, the more you're not going to be wasting time and resources in the wrong places. So an indoor environmental professional is a independent third party. They kind of developed that term in the industry because it holds so many different certifications within it, right? So an indoor environmental professional is the umbrella term, and we've got a CMI, which is a certified mold inspector, CMA, which is a certified mold assessor. It really depends on the state you're in on how they term it and what governing body of certifications they have. So I've had the certified mold inspector certification there, and also with the CIE and CIEC, that is through the acac.org, which is a really good database to have on hand. A IH or CIH is a certified industrial hygienist, and that is someone who also has knowledge when it comes to chemicals, VOCs, gases, and other, formaldehyde testing and things like that in the home, because as we know, mold is not the only contaminant or indoor air pollutant that exists. So when you're hiring a professional, it could be any one of these, and they are your IEP or indoor environmental professional, third party, who's going to then do what? Identify the sources of the contamination in the home, help you prioritize those different spots based on severity and the cause of them, the extent, and then assigning solutions. So the cause can be harder on a renovated home, for instance, because maybe it was an old issue that was then built over, painted over, and we don't really know the cause. It was just obviously a moisture issue, because every mold or biotoxin issue usually came from moisture in some way. So they're trying to find those sources, right? Evidence of that. And the cause, the extent of it, has it been widespread throughout the home? Is it more of a localized, smaller issue? How do we get it handled? And most important, they need to assign solutions. So the analogy I normally use is that an IEP or third-party inspector is like the diagnostic doctor for the home. They should be assessing the house very, very thoroughly, and then they should start to get an idea of the surgical plan and disinfection process of the home, so that they can give it to the remediator, who's a separate company, to then do the solutions that the indoor environmental professional assigned to them based on their assessment. If your mold remediator, for instance, is going to be saying, hey, we're going to do a free inspection for you, it's basically just a free estimate. They're going to go and find a couple areas of mold if they're obvious, and then they're going to give you an estimate to remediate it. That's not a full assessment. A full third-party assessment is very important, because you wouldn't just go to a surgeon and say, cut me open and start doing surgeries on me. We need a plan of what's going to be done, how it's going to be done. That's what an IEP is for, and they're on your side to advocate for you as well. So how is this done? Well, it should be hours on site assessing all accessible areas, okay? When I hear that a mold inspector, isn't willing to go in a certain place in the house that's easily accessible, we should just be hiring someone else who will be thorough that way. Some places are, pretty hard to access, but this is some of the stuff we need to talk about prior. Hours on site is so important. There's no way on a 3,000 square foot home, 2,000 square foot home, that someone can assess that home in under an hour. There's no way. That's not really an inspection. You could probably do more as a homeowner than that person would for $600-700 of your dollars in and out, taking a random air test. Not helpful. So we need multiple hours on site to really get into the hard to reach areas and use every tool we have. And that's what I say here, is that they should be utilizing all necessary tools to collect the data about the cause, extent of the problem, and then the remediation plan that will go about. They should know the home and really have a good lay of the land for containment barriers that need to be set up, where negative air pressure can go, what materials need to be removed, what also needs to be cleaned and saved. And what's also very important is that the IICRC protocols are followed. So these are my certifications for water restoration and mold remediation. That's important for me to have, not because I'm the one doing the actual work, but because I'm assigning the work. So I need to know exactly what they need to do so that I can write a very good site-specific protocol, which we'll get to it, I guess, in what to expect here. But that is very important for IEPs to have. When I went through my certification courses, I was the only IEP in the course. It was all people who were doing the actual work, which is good. They need to know what they're doing. But what's very important is for the inspector to know, because then it gives them clear direction on how to write their estimate, so they're not going to be cutting corners. They're not going to be doing guesswork and kind of assigning too much. They're not going to be using the wrong products and things like that. All that goes in with the site-specific protocol. So what to expect from an IEP is an initial interview that's very thorough to collect all the data about the home's history, you and your potential symptoms, or what's changed since moving into that environment, what you know about it. The exterior assessment of the home is, grading and drainage and gaps or cracks in the home, different pitch lines on the roof. Getting on the roof is not all IEPs will be getting on the roof necessarily, but having a really good idea of the outside of the home is very important, and moisture infiltration potentials. And then a detailed interior inspection is definitely all around, plumbing, every room in the home, comparatives, assessing different materials for moisture, thermal imaging, borescope camera. These are the tools I talk about in other videos, and they all give us pieces to the puzzle. And that mold checklist video I talked about is very, very important, because before we ever run a test, we should be using all the visual tools and the other measurements for the inspection itself. And after the inspection, then determine the testing strategy. Why it's a strategy is it's not a randomized, let's just collect some dust or throw an air sample here and just see what pops up. That's not a responsible way of testing, in my opinion. The testing should be in conjunction with what we were finding in the inspection, and then test after, so that we then allocate those tests effectively and don't waste them, and don't just run the bill up with a bunch of testing. Finally, like I said, the site-specific protocol. This is not a copy and paste vague, the bathroom is moldy and should be remediated. That's not what should be in your report. Your report should have details of the inspection, the photos. I even do some videos in mine to show the home and what I'm seeing. This exhaust fan was not used for a long time, which caused this, and will kind of walk through. And then the site-specific protocol is the surgical plan, like I mentioned, that's according to IICRC protocols, very specifically, that will be used to give to the remediator, who will then write their estimate off of that, so it's accurate. The IEP should be very, very competent in that stuff, not just the assessment side, but also what it's going to take to remediate properly. Follow-up help, I think, is very important. Not to just give a report and go away, but really, being able to help, maybe give some verbal rundown about the report beyond just the written report, and being able to advocate for you in the process. I like to look at progress photos of the remediation when that happens, and talk about something called clearance criteria that should be in your inspection report. Is what is it going to take for this job to actually be done effectively, and what's the criteria that says this job is done. Okay, so if the air sample on the inspection was 10,000 spores of aspergillus and penicillium in the air sample, there should be a clear air sample of a couple hundred spores or so. Just depends on the home. That is talked about in the clearance criteria. So that's very important as well. So hopefully this helps you get an idea of how to vet these people, because the most important thing beyond all this is the intangible, like I mentioned, is the curiosity, the care, and a clear conscience. That's the 3 C's of a good inspector. Email that I put out is having good curiosity will make sure that they're actually utilizing their knowledge and going to take the necessary time. And so when I do an assessment on a home, I'm seeing it as a health procedure. I'm seeing it as, if I can identify these sources and help improve the health of the home here, it's going to take the burden off the body, so that the body can then heal better. And that's the best we can do as indoor environmental professionals, is not necessarily heal people, but get an idea. Is the home a contributor? Is it a key contributor to some of these symptoms? And how do we dilute the issue by identifying the sources and then solving those? Afterwards, there might need to be new professionals on how do we fortify, optimize, and maintain the home. Maybe that's optimizing your HVAC system in a different way, with different measurements they may take and different calculations they may take, or of the design, or adding a dehumidifier to it potentially. There are several things to make sure we don't have to go back through mold again on the preventative side. And a good IEP will help with that in some way. But again, every profession has their expertise and their contribution to a healthy home. And so with you guys, knowing this, you're going to now hopefully know how to vet a good IEP when you need one, and also know a lot as homeowners that will prepare them. So as a homeowner, I would say it's best to walk with your inspector. I like when people walk with me around their own home and they get a real-time education about what I'm doing, what I'm thinking about, what I'm looking for, and what I'm seeing. And now after the inspection, they know, as much as I do about the home and maybe more. So hope this helps with your vetting process. If you need help from me specifically, I do in-person assessments. It's a little bit more of a premium price to maybe travel out to you and do this whole process with you. And I have a lot more details of what the Melrose Mold Solutions process is. If not, I can help with any step in that process, looking over reports, test results, estimates, helping you progress through that mold timeline. And we do that virtually as well. So we can fill out an in-depth questionnaire, look over all those, and I'll best prepare for our hour or so long Zoom together and progress you through that at a lower cost. So whichever one's best for you, let me know. I hope this helps, and let me know any other content you want me to make around these topics.